1972 was a wild year in pop music. The world was still reeling from the cultural aftershocks of the 60s, but instead of slowing down, music only got bigger, bolder, and more emotional. Vietnam raged on. Watergate was beginning to unravel trust in politics, and people everywhere were clinging to songs for escape, comfort, and unity. Pop music in '72 was full of contrasts. On one hand, you had soulful anthems like Lean on Me and Let's Stay Together, songs that sounded like they could heal the world. On the other, quirky novelty tracks like My Ding-a-Ling showed that audiences were also hungry for humor and lightheartedness. This balance between depth and fun, pain and joy is exactly what made 1972 unforgettable. So in this list, we're counting down 15 songs that define 1972 pop tracks that topped charts, broke hearts, and got stuck in our heads for decades. Some are cultural monuments, others one-hit wonders, but all of them shaped the soundtrack of an unforgettable year. Bill Withers was no superstar when he wrote Lean on Me. He was a working-class guy from West Virginia who once worked in an aircraft factory. The inspiration came from his childhood in a coal mining town where everyone leaned on each other to survive. In the studio, Withers kept it simple, no flashy production, no gimmicks. Just a Fender Rhodes keyboard, a tight rhythm section, and his warm, unpretentious voice. The result? A timeless anthem that topped both the pop and R&B charts. The song has been covered by everyone from Michael Bolton to Club Nouveau, but Withers' original still feels like a sermon on humanity. Withers wrote it before he even had a proper record deal. He scribbled the idea on scrap paper while working at his day job. By the time the single blew up, he was suddenly in the spotlight at age 33, a late bloomer by industry standards, but one who came in swinging.
The doorstep, I couldn't take one more step.
Recorded in New York with a band of studio musicians, Don McLean's American Pie was never supposed to be an 8-minute anthem. Radio stations complained it was too long, but audiences demanded it. DJs eventually played it in full. Every line seemed to reference something. Buddy Holly, the Stones at Altamont, Dylan going electric.
Something touched me deep inside.
McLean has famously dodged explaining it all, once saying, "It means I never have to work again." Behind the scenes, McLean's label actually wanted him to cut it down. But McLean refused. That gamble paid off. The song became a cultural Rosetta Stone, and its mystery is part of its endurance. Even today, music historians still argue over what every verse really means. Think of all my sorrow there when I had you. Here's the wild part. Harry Nilsson didn't even write Without You. The song came from Badfinger, a band signed to the Beatles' Apple label. Nilsson heard it at a party, thought it was a Beatles song, and decided to record it himself. The sessions were grueling. Nilsson pushed his voice to breaking point. screaming take after take until producer Richard Perry captured the version we know. The effort paid off. It earned him a Grammy. This is the power of interpretation. Badfinger's version was a hidden gem, but Nilsson turned it into one of the most heartbreaking ballads of all time. Later, even Mariah Carey would admit his rendition was unbeatable. Johnny Nash deserves more credit. Before Marley was international, Nash was bringing reggae-flavored pop to U.S. audiences.
I think I can make it now, the pain.
The track was recorded in Jamaica with local musicians, and the studio vibe was pure sunshine.
Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky.
Nash himself had just undergone cataract surgery, and the lyrics were partly autobiographical about finding clarity after struggle.
All of the bad feelings.
What makes it powerful is how it bridges genres. For many Americans, this was their first brush with reggae rhythms, and it opened doors for Bob Marley's rise just a few years later.
Was dry, but the air was full of sound.
Here's a fun bit of trivia. America recorded a horse with no name at London's Trident Studios, the same place where David Bowie was cutting Ziggy Stardust.
Was dry, but the air was full of sound.
The song's cryptic imagery led to wild theories. Was it about drugs? About spirituality? Dewey Bunnell, who wrote it, said it was inspired by childhood trips through the desert.
In the desert, you can remember your name, 'cause there ain't no.
Critics mocked it, some called it a Neil Young ripoff, but audiences disagreed. It went no. One in the U.S., dethroning Neil Young's own Heart of Gold. Irony at its finest.
When the papa found out, he began to shout and started the investigation.
Nobody knows what the boys were arrested for in Paul Simon's story song. And Simon has deliberately kept it vague, saying, "I have no idea what it is."
It's against the law. It was against the law.
It's just a line that came to me. What we do know, the rhythm was inspired by Simon's fascination with Latin percussion.
Mama looked down and spit on the ground every time my name gets.
Recorded with top New York session players, it was unlike anything else on pop radio in 1972.
Papa said, oh, if I get that boy, I'm gonna stick him in the house of detention.
The song didn't just chart, it became a quirky classic, with a music video decades later featuring Big Bird and Mickey Mantle. Recorded at High Studios in Memphis, Let's Stay Together almost didn't happen.
Sorry, since we've been together.
Al Green wasn't initially sold on the song, but producer Willie Mitchell pushed him. Green sang the vocals in just a few takes, effortlessly slipping between falsetto and chest voice. The result? Magic. It topped both pop and R&B charts. The song was so iconic that decades later, when Barack Obama sang a line of it at the Apollo Theater, it went viral worldwide. That's cultural staying power. In 1971, Neil Young hurt his back and couldn't play electric guitar for long stretches. Forced onto acoustic, he recorded Heart of Gold in Nashville with producer Elliot Mazer. The sessions also featured Linda Ronstadt and James Taylor on harmony vocals, though Young only asked them because they happened to be in town for a TV gig.
I wanna live, I wanna give.
That lucky coincidence gave the song its haunting sweetness. Ironically, Young later said he didn't like that Heart of Gold became his biggest hit because it made him sound too mainstream, but fans adored it and it remains his signature track.
Somebody hit me now.
The Staple Singers recorded this funky, gospel-inspired anthem at the legendary Muscle Shoals studio.
Hit me on.
The house band, the Swampers, laid down the groove, while Mavis Staples delivered the vocal of her life.
Oh, help me now. Oh.
Behind the scenes, the mood was electric. This wasn't just a session, it felt like a church service. The end result was a crossover smash, topping the pop charts and proving gospel and pop could dance together.
To say to me how you suffered for.
McLean wrote Vincent after reading a biography of Van Gogh. He recorded it simply just his guitar, strings, and vocals.
Perhaps they'll listen now.
The track didn't hit, no. One, but it resonated deeply.
China blue, colors changing hue.
In fact, when McLean later performed it at the Louvre in front of Van Gogh's paintings, audiences described it as a spiritual experience.
Are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand.
It remains one of the most poetic pop tributes ever written. This wasn't an easy song to make. Producer Norman Whitfield pushed the Temptations to record take after take, demanding perfection.
3rd of September, that day I'll always remember.
The nearly 4-minute instrumental intro was unheard of in a pop single, but Whitfield insisted it stay.
I never got a chance to see him.
The gamble worked. It won 3 Grammys and became one of Motown's boldest statements. Behind the lyrics lay a personal sting. Dennis Edwards, the group's lead singer, hated singing. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. Why? His own father had died on September 3rd, the very date mentioned in the song.
In this harbor town she works, laying whiskey.
Looking Glass were a bar band from New Jersey who suddenly found themselves with a no one hit.
The sailor said, Brandy, you're fine, you're fine.
The song's nautical theme was unusual for pop radio, but its storytelling made it unforgettable. Ironically, the band could never replicate its success, making them a one-hit wonder. Still, Brandy endures, especially after Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy 2 gave it a second life in 2017. Helen Reddy struggled to get radio play at first stations, thought the song was too feminist.
I have to, I can do anything.
But once women began requesting it in droves, programmers couldn't ignore it.
Conviction in my soul. Oh, yes.
By the end of 1972, it was a #1 hit, and Reddy became a global icon. At the Grammys, she famously thanked God because she makes everything possible.
It's wisdom on a plane. Yes, I paid the price.
The song wasn't just pop, it was politics, a true anthem of the women's movement. Recorded at Chateau de Rouville in France, Rocket Man was born from Bernie Taupin's fascination with science fiction. The song's lush production came from Gus Dudgeon, who also produced Bowie's Space Oddity. Unlike Bowie's cosmic drama, though, Elton's Rocket Man was about loneliness and the quiet cost of ambition. The track soared to the top of charts worldwide and cemented Elton as one of the biggest pop stars on Earth.
Hey, Pop Lore family! Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
The legend goes like this. Stevie Wonder and Jeff Beck were jamming in the studio when Stevie started riffing on a Hohner clavinet. That riff became Superstition. Originally, Wonder promised the song to Beck. But Motown executives insisted Stevie keep it for himself, and it became his first #1 hit of the 1970s. With its funky groove and biting lyrics about irrational beliefs, Superstition marked the beginning of Stevie's classic period. At only 22, he was reshaping pop, soul, and funk all at once. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next.